It's lights out and away we go!
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the GT UK F1 podcast, and I am joined by David.
Hey, everyone. How are we all doing today?
So, have we got a lot to talk about? Oh,
Yeah, the Brazilian Grand Prix or the Brazilian boat race.
let's not call it Brazilian Grand Prix, but it's actually Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo, sorry.
Apparently, the only reason it's called the Sao Paulo Grand Prix now is because Sao Paulo actually have chucked a lot of money of it to be called the Sao Paulo Grand Prix.
All right, we're not like upsetting some deep thing then, at least.
No.
Not this time, anyway.
No. So, obviously, usual's going to inspire that, obviously, neither me or David, we did not see practice at all.
As I was saying to Chris, I watched it all in a very backwards order because of like being working and other things. So I've seen everything we normally see. I've seen both parts of the sprint side and both parts of the quali side, but it just, yeah. There's certainly plenty to get into.
Plenty to get in. I mean, I did say though, didn't I? I did say there was a good chance of
Yeah, but
rain.
Sao Paulo's always been like that, though. We've had some of the historic really wet races that always seem to have been Sao Paulo.
Yeah, but it's the track isn't just in a natural bowl, anyways.
I mean, there was all the talk about the resurfacing this year, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think the contractor of that is going to be in a little bit of trouble, if you ask me.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Especially with the comments from the drivers.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it seemed to be. How was it Crofty put it? When you can resurface it and make it bumpier than it was before you started.
Yeah.
You've maybe got something wrong.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess the logical place to start for us is a sprint qualifying.
Sprint quali.
Yeah.
Now,
One of the few sessions that didn't get overly messed around.
No, it didn't. Interestingly enough, though, obviously Behrman stepped in for Kevin Magnussen.
Who we hope's feeling better, but tell you what, you picked a good weekend to sit out, didn't he?
He did. But K-Man got food poisoning.
But I didn't actually hear what happened. I knew obviously Behrman got the weekend in the car, but I didn't hear what.
Yeah, K-Mag unfortunately contracted food poisoning. And obviously, it's kind of weird because it seems weird that it was from Mexico. It's not.
But it's because we've only had a week between.
Yeah. So Alonso wasn't feeling great, but he ended up missing media day.
Right.
Due to
We're
it.
obviously there for the race.
Yeah, there's a couple of drivers that missed media day due to not being so good. I mean, just on quick, very, very, very quick side note.
Already?
Yeah. I liked what Seb had done. I don't know if you saw the massive Senna helmet that he'd done out of
I didn't, I'm afraid.
out of garbage. Basically, out of recycled rubbish, he managed to make a massive Senna helmet. And obviously, you could stand inside, but inside had all pictures of Senna and stuff like that.
Nice.
And they had like a competition where they were split into teams, and as they were collecting all the stuff for this helmet, this tribute helmet, and basically, the team that Seb was in came second. So, but it looked great. You know what I mean?
I miss that. I'll have to have a look back at stuff like that.
Yeah. And obviously, Hamilton did eventually get to drive Senna's McLaren. Is it an MP4 or an MP3? Which one was it?
It'd be a floppy disk back then, wouldn't it?
It was basically Senna's old car, and he got to drive it around.
Yeah, which I saw some pictures of that online. Which, I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? There's all these years on Senna still carries. I understand why. Like, have you noticed that Colapinto has very much a look of Senna at certain angles?
Colapinto has a massive Argentine following as well.
Well, yeah, because South America, it's the nearest Grand Prix. Brazil will be the Sao Paulo. I'm going to make that mistake several times, so I'm going to apologise in advance. Sao Paulo will be the nearest race to Argentina, really.
Yeah, and put it this way: every flight from Argentina to Sao Paulo got booked out.
Yeah.
There was 50 buses had driven 30 hours just to get to Sao Paulo of Argentinian fans. That's mad. You know, to think, yes, he's only been in what? 5 races? Or 6? Is it 6 or 5?
Only about 5 now. It's really not many at all, is it?
You know, he's replaced, obviously, Logan for the rest of the season. It's like the amount of following. It's weird to see such a young driver have.
It'd be huge. Yeah, but it's funny because most of the young drivers we've seen are from countries with already long established, like, you know, Behrman and Lawson. Behrman British. We already have a lot of British drivers.
Well, yeah. Whereas
they don't have a lot from, so these places are more susceptible to stuff like that.
I was going to say Lawson's New Zealand.
New Zealand don't have, I mean...
Not really.
With Danny Rick leaving, there's no Australian driver.
Oscar Piastri?
Apart from Oscar Piastri.
As good as this.
Sorry, I am rather sleep deprived the way the last couple of days have gone. So I'm.
I was going to say Oscar's an Oz, because there used to be 2 Aussies on the grid.
Of course he is. My bad.
Well,
I'm off to a cracking start.
Yeah. But it was sort of the usual suspects out in sprint qualifying 1, bar Alonso.
Yeah, the conditions made it up and down anyway, even at that level. But yeah, for Alonso, I mean, Stroll, you expect. Is it Zhao now has set a record? Is he like 8 or 9 practices where he's been the slowest driver?
Yeah.
Which is not the record anybody wants.
And this is the thing, though. It's like, you know, people say, oh, well, what about Guan Yu Zhou got us to fill the other Sauber seat? And it's like, but he's not the other Sauber, the other Audi seat. Sauber, Audi. Oh. Basically go alongside Nico Hülkenberg. And it's like, well, but he can't perform even with Bottas.
I think he might, though, because like I say, the thing is he brings a lot of money.
I know he brings a lot of money, but he's not performing. Yes, okay, how much is that? How much of that is the car? And how much is that of just him? Because I suppose if I compare Guan Yu Zhou to Yuki's first couple of seasons weren't great.
Well, I think because the easiest way, if you want to do that and compare is it him or the car, you just look at his teammate. Now, he's not that far away from Bottas, unfortunately.
No.
And Bottas, he would call a very experienced
driver.
So, at that point, I feel you can't really blame Zhao entirely, because clearly the car isn't perfect.
No.
You know, it's not like Red Bull right now, where Perez isn't performing, but Max is running away with it. There, you can say, well, maybe the problem probably isn't with the car.
No, and I mean, I'm going to come on to Perez, and I keep hearing rumours that his 2025 seat might not be safe, even though he's got that contract.
Well,
there's talk of putting Lawson in, and I'm sorry, but it's been. I'll come on to them too.
There was no love lost between them two after Mexico, was there?
No, definitely. It's I don't know. I'm not particularly keen on Lawson's attitude.
I've not seen enough of him racing yet to make a good comment on his.
Well, it's just one of the comments he made to the media. Because I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win. And I'm sorry, you're not going to fucking win in the RB. You're not going to win in the junior team. Unless something could come, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll come on to that, the other RB. But unless something extraordinary happens, then maybe you've got a chance. But with that car right now, no. Not a chance. And I get it.
No, I don't think what you mean.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he's just the attitude on it. I mean, yeah.
Maybe something that'll come down slightly. Because he's coming in and you've...
Well, it's not the first time he's been in.
You've got to think you're the best.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's the first time he's been in with a known seat. Because he's got next year, hasn't he? We know that.
Yes.
So, to me at that point, it's like he's in now to make a start to get to know it. But if he doesn't go at it with this attitude that I can win it all, I'm the best, then he might as well not be there.
Well, yeah.
Everybody. Sargent had to sit in that car thinking I'm the best, I could win it. He'd have been freaking delusional, but he had to believe it.
Yeah, he didn't even score a point.
So, they're all... See how he does. I mean, it's good to see him getting the experience and the chance. And this little early start. It's funny, we'll come on to a little bit later. Something me and Dad were talking about to do with the Mercedes and something like that, and some of comments at the end of the race. We'll come on to that in due time.
Yeah. But
yeah.
See, the problem is, Behrman's got a better attitude. Even though Behrman's got a seat for next year, Behrman's not coming in and saying, "Oh, I'm going to win this and that and the other." He's a bit more
down to earth.
Yeah, he's a bit more.
As you can be as a Formula 1 driver.
Well, yeah, he is. He's a bit more. Leveled. It's not. Yes,
Yeah.
The junior team of RB and Red Bull, yes, they're running the same powertrain, but the Red Bull main car still probably has more advantage over that. Okay, maybe not. I'll come on to that. I'll expand on that one when we get into the race. But yeah.
Well, we're saying a lot of things up here, aren't we? That we're probably going to forget about and not deliver later.
We probably will. But McLaren in sprint quali, yeah, looked on it. Ferrari, Max, I was thinking, oh, well, yeah, here we go. It's going to eat more into Max's championship throughout this weekend because him and...
Yeah, with the way momentum was going and the way things were looking, he wasn't looking well, was it? I mean,
no.
he got into SQ2 Obviously, Perez drops out in 13th.
Yeah.
Hamilton doesn't make the top 10.
No, which I'm very surprised.
Other than
To be honest, that was a shock. I was surprised.
was outfinished by Behrman.
Yeah, but I was very surprised at that because, Russell was consistent, but improving from 110.4 to 109.6 and then 109.4. Not a lot of improvement, but
He was steady away.
yeah. Whereas Hamilton just, I don't know, because he likes Sao Paulo, doesn't he?
Like, he considers it like one of his second homes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's well liked by the Sao Paulo people.
By the fans.
I was going to say Sao Paulian, and that sounds wrong. Right.
But, I mean, Carlo Pinto didn't have a great sprint quality, but Albon was up there. Yeah, again, just not to say showing him up, but just Albon showing, being just Albon and managing to deliver.
Well, that's the thing. And Albon's not like saying we've kind of had it on the last couple of races. Albon looked amazing against Sargent. I think Carlo Pinto's a little closer to him.
Yeah.
I really do. Which is maybe making him look not quite as... But he's still performing well. I mean, I actually think if James Vowles can do what we know he's capable of, keep your eye on Williams. I can see them doing a McLaren in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That whole... Think of where McLaren were, where they are now.
Well, yeah, you've also got to think, you've got the likes of Sainz coming into Williams as well.
Sainz and Albon, which is 2 strong drivers. You've always got that Merc engine, which is generally considered to not be bad.
Oh
yeah, what's his space on that one? I could be proven totally wrong, but I have a feeling that if it's going to take 2 or 3 years, you could see that Williams slowly creeping further forward.
Yeah, well, you've got to think though. Obviously, Vowles has come out and said that perhaps he's the wanting to hold on to Carlo Pinto, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, because didn't Red Bull approach him or something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe they're thinking.
But Vowles wants him as a reserve.
I also wonder if there's still, I know we said this last time it didn't happen, if there's still some truth in the whole Sainz to Audi deal and Vowles knows he's not got Sainz for long.
Possibly.
If Sainz does end up going to Audi, say in 26, 27, then having Carlo Pinto and you there ready to go could be a nice move for them.
Well, he's got Sainz on what, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. They're going for 26 then.
I think it's a 2-year deal.
You don't know what clause in that, but yeah, fair enough.
But yeah,
that's all I can think is that they're not anticipating Sainz being around for 5-10 years.
No.
So they're keeping their options open, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
on Liam Lawson 8th.
Another big shock for me was seeing Gasly get up into Q2 as well.
I mean, Alpine, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah. The Alpine this year has been a shocking car, but we know Gasly and Ocon are both solid drivers.
Oh, yeah.
And the good thing is, wet weather is a fantastic leveller.
As we'll come on to.
Because in wet weather, if you're down on horsepower that we know the Renault is, it's not as big an issue.
No. Well, the fact is, they don't have DRS either, so some cars
but
that get the advantage of DRS.
Yeah, but we reckon the Renault's about 100 horsepower down. A lot of the time, and in conditions like we've had this weekend, all that means is you're spinning the tires a little less.
Yeah.
So it can actually come. It's a great leveler. It's a great level playing field. But
anything else you sort of want to add about sprint quali? Because
Max only getting fourth and being outfared by Leclerc. Like I say, at that point, they're thinking it's continuation of the bad times for them. And obviously, the McLaren 1-2 and Piastri, the number one, have said 1-2.
Yeah, I don't think that best pleased Lando, to be honest. There's just a couple of things to do with this when we get to the sprint. But Oscar is showing he can do it.
Oscar is showing that he's probably one of the biggest problems that
Lando's got right now.
Norris has to. That Lando's got to be champion. He's fingering with his own team.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Norris did less laps than Piastri. So, sprint. Oh, yeah, okay. So it was a sprint grid, and obviously it was both Aston Martin and Guan Yu Zhou were required to start from pit lane. But what were you thinking at the start of the sprint?
The weather looked iffy, and it was just going to be a case of it was going to be a case of where was the spectacular accident going to come from?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, we're going to do, and then say set off. Piastri did well to get off the way he did.
Oh yeah.
And it kind of settled down to not a lot. Until obviously we had the VSC right near the end. Now it was sort of near the end and the safety car. I'm there thinking, can we get a full safety car here right at the end of? But to us, the sprint wasn't that. As much as I like sprint weekends, and I still stand by, I would quite happily say for future years, make every weekend a sprint weekend.
But the soapbox is slightly going to make an appearance for this part already.
You got a problem with sprints all of a sudden?
No, they took way too long.
Showing that, yeah, well, we're going to have more of that in qualifying as well. But
yeah, but they took way too long to decide what the hell's going on. I get it, it's the race director that makes the decision, not the stewards or anything, not the marshals. But technically, the marshals are the first ones there to chuck that. But I get, you don't want to be the marshal on the side of the track that decides, that needed to be red flagged.
Yeah.
But yeah. And was it the race or no, it was a race. Yeah. Well, I'll come on to that again. But yeah, Hulkenberg didn't have a good weekend, really, did he?
Didn't have the greatest of weekends. No, is he pretty much?
They said it was the exhaust system.
Problem with the exhaust. Well, the thing is, at one point, I don't know how Crofty and Karun missed it. You were looking at the can, you could see it smoking.
They didn't miss it.
Well, they did at first. It took them a while to realise. But
I just honestly in the last sprint bit, I thought the hustling. Max is hustling.
Back to some of the older days.
Yeah, but it bit him in the arse, though, didn't it?
Yeah, because he got to 5 seconds. Well, he didn't because he cost him a 5 second penalty, but didn't actually cost him a great deal in the grand scheme. I think it cost him one place, did it?
Yeah. It cost him a point.
Hmm.
In terms of points, it cost him 1 point. And
Yeah.
honestly, I get why Max did what he did and sort of did the hustle, but when he went because of they don't know when that is gonna drop. It's not like this, like it's not like a safety car where they have to let the safety car into the pits. A virtual safety car will drop at any point.
As we often complain about when we play the game.
Yeah, and he was 0. I believe he was like 0.6 above the delta time.
Oh, we've all been there.
We've done that. See,
Freaking
now,
irritating as hell when it happens.
if that had been in the race, that would have been a DT. Would have been a drive-through.
Yeah.
But because it was the sprint, that's why they ended up giving the 5-second time penalty.
Hmm.
And the sprint wasn't bad, but yeah.
It was a bit, but then again, I think the fact that it was about the only session that happened in not too terrible weather.
Yeah. Now, let's move on to qualifying.
Well, the first bit we can lead by is a bit that I didn't see, but the first attempt at qualifying.
Yeah. So the first attempt at qualifying, basically they went live on air. Did the broadcaster? You know, they were doing the whole usual build up, and 1 minute it wasn't raining. Next minute it was a monsoon. So much it was actually coming through the roof of the paddock. So it felt a bit like Spa again, except it wasn't the race.
Yeah.
So basically, it got heavier. They thought of a gap. You know, they pushed it back to 4 o'clock local time, then got pushed to 1:15, then got pushed back to 16:45. Obviously, the race director and the safety person went out. The clerk of the course was out on track in a different car. Ted went up to Niels Vittage and basically, you know, he said, "Is there a chance?" He said, "Not at the moment." They pushed it back to 16:45 local. They were gonna push it back again, and then you saw Stefano Domenicali, who was making phone calls, and basically Stefano Domenicali basically said no, because teams had been saying no, we can't race. The teams had basically been qualified. Sorry, the teams had basically been saying no, we can't do it in this.
Yeah.
They're not going to risk it. And then Stefano Domenicali had basically said to Niels Vittage, must have been during a phone call that you could see while they were down with Ted and they were live, that basically probably him just basically saying to Niels Vittage, cancel, do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously Domenicali spoke to Ted and basically apologized, you know, basically, because I know sometimes they put that out live to the fans, and basically he apologized to the fans, and you know, he said that, you know, something like later on in a statement, he said, you know, sorry, doesn't quite cut it, but you know, they basically thanked them all for putting up with the conditions that they did. Because it was thundering, it was lightning, lightning was literally hitting the top of the grandstand.
Yeah, it wasn't in good conditions to race in no matter what.
No. That's why the decision originally got postponed until was it like 9 o'clock? It was something like 9-ish.
And then
local
they got to the
time.
point where even if you had have gone ahead, then there wouldn't have been enough daylight to.
Yeah, they were running out of daylight. They could run until. They could technically run until 6 p.m. local time to them. Something like that was the cutoff, was like 6 p.m. But looking at the way the sky was and how dull it was, how the hell would they have seen what the hell was going on? You know, they had all the sweepers out. There was a dude going around on a quad dragging a sweeper bar to try and get rid of the water. The safety car had gone out again, literally hit a bit of curb and hit the curb off the center S, and all you saw was a shit ton of water just go flying. And that was like, yeah, no, they can't race in that. It would have been crazy. I mean, proper qualifying was bad enough. It felt like Australia again, you know?
Yeah.
Go on, I'm going to let you lead with proper qualifying.
Well, proper qualifying. Well, which part of it do you want me to lead with?
Wherever you want to begin with.
Yeah, it was one of the most red flags I've seen in a single session in all my time.
4 to 5.
Obviously, we knew going into it that Verstappen was carrying an engine penalty anyway. But even they didn't anticipate. Because if we go into, I mean, I'm going to admit I'm going to blank here on exactly which order the various crashes happened. I think, was it Pinto caused red flag number 1, or was he later?
I can't remember the order, but yeah, Pinto caused 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pinto caused the first one because he was out in Q1.
Yeah, which caught out Lewis Hamilton.
Yep.
I mean, the rest of them, Behrman, Hulkenberg, and Guan Yu are pretty and not unheard of. But yeah, caught Hamilton out, red flag. Then I believe it was Stroll was next. Yep.
Stroll.
Into Q2, Stroll.
That was a big shock. It caught Red Bull out.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Sainz.
Well, no, that one Sainz kind of got caught out later on for something else.
Well,
Sainz got caught out by the wall.
Was that center S?
Yeah, but he ended up on the outside of he ended up basically in like the pit wall.
Yeah.
Which is a rarity. But yeah, as you say, and then the last red flag was like 40 seconds to go.
Yeah.
Caught both Red Bulls out because neither Max nor Perez, both Max and Perez, I think, were on push laps.
They were.
Obviously, Bottas to 11th and Stroll for 10th, but he'd already crashed the car.
Yeah.
And then we get to Q3, where I believe it was Alonso first, with quite a big accident.
Yeah. It was Alonso. It's like, shit, both Aston Martins? And Alonso. And Alonso to make a mistake.
It shows how out there the conditions were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It shows the conditions were absolutely terrible.
I mean, it definitely didn't do any favours for Oscar.
But I think the bigger one was because obviously the last crash that once again pretty much ended the session. Was like 2 weeks left was Albon with a huge accident, and Williams. You've got to feel bad for Williams, a team that have struggled anyway. We've talked about once already this podcast. Their struggles and
Their repair bill. But
yeah,
the big shock for me
Yuki and Esteban
was Yuki and Ocon. Holy crap!
and
Yuki.
Lawson in 5th.
Oh yeah, but Yuki putting in a blinding lap.
Yeah. It's like I said to you, it's the great level of his conditions like that. It absolutely can just change the dynamic, because all of a sudden, say cars that aren't usually that competitive just find themselves in the right place at the right time. Obviously, Norris's lap was stunning. Norris's final lap was on it. Russell, it's funny, you had Hamilton claiming the car is undrivable, yet Russell got into second.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, we know they'll be slightly on different setups.
But still, it's,
this is the thing.
What did Horner once say to Toto? Fix your effing car.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems to apply.
But so obviously we'll get onto the starting grid. So obviously you had Verstappen that got the 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Which
Sainz was a pit lane start because he used gearbox parts.
Yeah.
He put gearbox engine parts in absolute shunt.
Yeah. But then you had Lando, Russell, Yuki, Ocon, Lawson, and the rest. Now, shall we begin at the formation lap?
Are you in the first attempt of the formation lap?
Yeah. And
I mean, we're gonna call out.
Stroll didn't even make it to the fucking grid.
Didn't Leclerc do this a couple of years ago, if I remember right? Here.
I'm
pretty sure a couple of years ago, Leclerc binned in very similar circumstances. Might be at the same piece of track, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stroll in typical Stroll fashion.
Yeah, which caused an aborted start. Now, there was so much confusion.
Yeah. That was it, because obviously there was a couple of points. So number one was 4 cars at the aborted start, which I know because the white lights flashed, which I've never seen the white lights before.
But there was Norris, Russell, Yuki, Ocon, I think Lawson, I think it was 5. All were investigated for the aborted start. Now,
and then in the confusion, Mercedes went and made a bit of a boo boo.
Yeah.
To be said.
For the fact that they altered the tire pressure.
Well, it's not that. From what I understand, they altered the tire pressure with the tires still attached to the car, because if you looked at the onboard, you could see the McLaren, and I think you have to take the tires off the car to do it. You have to take the wheels off the car. Sorry.
The wheels are not allowed to be attached to the car when you alter your tire pressures.
Yeah. So that was the main.
Yeah.
But they did it on both cars. That's the really rough bit. It's not just like the minimum say we won.
Because even Russell had said there was they hadn't actually set the tire pressures. But it didn't quite stand up in stupid court now, did it? Because Mercedes has been fined, I believe, It's been
10,000.
10,000 euros because it's been 5,000 for each car, is what I believe was the punishment. Ouch. Norris got fined 5,000.
And the others got off with a warning because he was just down as reacting to another car moving.
And he got fined, but he also got reprimanded.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. There is so much. I get why there's so much confusion, because obviously they're trying to deal with, the fact that Stroll's just binned it. But yet, it isn't the race director that's got control over them lights.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is still the same person, but the last person I remember that had control was female.
All right.
No,
well, Charlie's job back in the day, wasn't it?
It used to be, yeah. So, obviously, Lando's misinterpreted what signal was given. Because an aborted start means they should have just basically sat there, not gone, and the mechanics
come back out to the cars, which they didn't. They set off.
Yeah.
And then they had to release the rest of the cars
to then reform up and allow.
Because was it me, or did Stroll make a very, very stupid mistake?
Did he though?
Because when you saw the car, it wasn't in the gravel trap.
Oh,
he
yeah.
He slid off, hit the wall, but not that hard. If we could go away with wing change. But then it looked to me like he went to reverse and then drove into the gravel trap trying to get back out.
Yeah, he did. So he caused his own problem.
Why would you drive into the gravel trap?
You wouldn't. You'd reverse, spin it round onto the runoff.
Yeah, which I just couldn't get how he... Because when you saw the shot of the car after the wall, it finished on tarmac.
Yeah.
Then next thing, it's beached.
Yeah.
I just don't think he fancied racing in that weather. I think he knew what was coming.
But it was just... Yeah, it was an odd one why he ended up going through the gravel instead.
I think it was a silly mistake, which is a Stroll thing through and through.
But if you notice when he was weaving to try and get a bit of tyre temp, well, he was either braking or whatever. But if you notice the rear locked up of the car, that's what caused the spin. But it was just like, I bet his dad was thinking, "You fucking idiot! You should have just." I'd love to have been in that debrief.
Tell me about it.
He'd have been thinking, "Yeah, you fucking idiot! You should have run it on the runoff, not the bloody gravel."
That's what logical people would have done.
Yeah, but tell you what, it made for interesting drama even before we'd got going.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which basically then leads on to what I am gonna say was a class race.
Oh, it was best race of the season. Gotta be up there because it was.
Yeah,
I'll agree with you.
It was very, it wasn't a snooze fest.
Oh, you didn't know where to look next. I mean, the weather played a big part in that.
Oh yeah. But I mean, did Lando though make a mistake going down into turn one?
I don't think he made a mistake. No, I think it was a case of being a little bit cautious. And I don't think it was a mistake as such. No, obviously the last thing you want to do is cause yourself to end up What is it I've always said? You can't win a race in turn 1, but quite a few people have lost them.
Yeah, but later on, he did make a couple of mistakes in turn 1.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, but he managed to let Russell through.
Yeah, but you get to the point where sometimes, pick your battles.
True.
The last thing you want to do is risk damage, because like I say, he was at that point thinking he was in a fantasy. Max is all the way down there. He's still at least 7 cars away from just 8 point, let alone a win or anything serious. So, Lando just needed to keep it clean, which he tried to do.
Yep, he tried, and But that's what I forgot to mention about the sprint. You notice Lando's attitude?
Didn't like Oscar in front, did he?
No. Sorry, guys, I completely forgot and I had to mention it. Yeah, did not like Oscar in front.
But to be fair to Oscar, it was a hell of a start he made.
Yeah, but if Oscar could have just said to the team, no, I'm not swapping back. Oscar would have won that. Fair and square on track.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I think at the end, I think he does sort of realise.
Yeah, he's got to play a team game because of Lando and the championship. Yeah. And obviously the whole overall constructors battle that's heating up as well. But yeah, so quickly go back forward to the race. They were all they were all clean through center S's,
Oh, I didn't seem to have a lot of trouble, which is always good.
And then Max started his mission.
Well, was it 7 places on the first lap?
Yeah. Granted, Max is running probably a little bit of a better engine than these guys.
Well, he had a new engine in, so of course he was running it better.
Kind of reminds you of the Hamilton.
Yeah, that weekend when he went through the. But that was back when the sprint set the grid for the race, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This one obviously wasn't, but I know what you mean.
But it felt like that. But I thought, even with Max back there, I'm thinking, weather's coming in. Possibly he might get a podium. Didn't know where at that point.
Oh, I think he was always going to get into the points. And probably high points. Like I say, look at last weekend. All the shit that went on in Mexico, he still managed to score like 6 points. So
yeah,
he just has this ability. And then it all went a little bit wrong.
A little bit wrong?
We're going to say at that point, can we just say Yuki was holding third, Nocon was holding fourth pretty nicely.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I say, the conditions were helping them, but fair play to him for staying up there. Then the rain came.
Yes. And then... Oh yeah, that was it. Albon didn't start the race, did he? Because his car wasn't...
They couldn't get the car back together in time.
Yeah. Albon's had a shit run of luck.
Oh yeah, well, Williams in general, go back to what we said in qualifying. Williams in general, he's not been great for them this year, has he?
No.
And then that leads nicely into Pinto.
Yep.
Managing to drop it again. Say Williams has managed to write off 3 cars in one day.
No, I can't. I'm not going to be harsh on Pinto here.
I'm
not going to be harsh.
I am not trying to be, because those conditions were awful, and they don't have a lot of experience in that condition compared to some of the others on the grid.
No, because even Behrman was struggling.
Oh, Behrman had a not great race, but like I say, you're willing to give him a bit of a pass.
Yeah, because they don't have a lot of wet weather driving, and even in the simulators, it is
Yeah.
said they cannot replicate. They can replicate wet condition to a point. Most of their simulator work is done in dry conditions. So when they do the wet weather simulations, they can make the ground feel.
You probably can't simulate the spray that well and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
no, they can't. They can't simulate the spray. They can all they can do in a simulator is make the ground feel like it's wet rather than visually. So in a simulator, they're not gonna see this amount of spray coming at them. I mean, at one point, it was like, you know, I was thinking, are they going to red flag this? Are they going to red flag this?
It was looking borderline, wasn't it, for a little while? I was thinking that.
And, you know, it was just like decisions were very, yet again, yeah, not quick about it. I mean, my reaction as well, when they turned around and said, oh, yeah, that Lando, Russell, and all that lot get investigated after the race, it's like, oh, fuck, here we go again. My exact words were, oh, fucking hell, here we go again.
But I kind of understand in that particular situation why talking to the drivers was considered a good thing to do.
Yeah, but it was just a case of fucking hell, here we go again. Because you remember.
Hence why we stopped recording this podcast on a Sunday.
Yeah, you remember how much bullshit last year, was it last year or 2021, and everything was getting investigated after the race.
Yeah, we weren't finding out the results till 2 days later.
No.
Bloody awful.
So this is why we now drop it back. And yeah, that weather.
I mean, we've had this at Brazil before, at Sao Paulo before.
Yeah, but all I'm going to say is not just that. Any wet conditions that they have to drive and do them speeds in, yeah, I would take my hat off to them. Because
oh yeah, definitely.
Apart from that rain light, they've not got
it. They see anything.
Yeah, even when they showed you shots of like through driver cam, helmet cam and stuff like that, and it's like, how the fuck are you managing to keep that on the road and basically not be a massive pile-up? It takes some skill.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I don't think certain people were too happy about pitting before a certain red flag.
Well, it was one of those 1As.
Because you heard Norris completely bitch again. So
I mean, this is where you've got to give some credit to the Alpine lads. Because they played that one to perfection.
The strategy team. Holy crap.
The whole team.
Yeah.
What was it? I think Ted came out with it. They actually never made a pit stop during green flag racing or race.
Yeah, they didn't.
They changed the tyres during the red flag.
Yeah. And so did so did Max. It was like, and Russell was pissed off. Evidently by the way that it was, I fucking said it. Should have stayed out.
Big talk, because there was a lot of talk about like driver standards going into the race, wasn't there? the drivers' union or whatever it's called had been involved.
Yeah. Apart from it was to do with Max.
Hmm.
And and it's funny that 19 drivers agreed, 1 disagreed. Who was the disagreeal?
Max?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of obvious, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's not like he can suddenly then turn around and say, "Oh yeah, I agree," is it?
What did they about turkey for Christmas?
Considering when the topic of it was to do with driving standards and sort of technically his driving. So yeah, it's not like he could agree. But yeah, I agree with the Alpine genius.
Oh, they had a weekend, and that was going to be one of my big things to take away was that they had probably the best weekend they've had in years, and what that could mean to them at the far end of the championship.
If they can stay in that position by the end of the season, 50 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd take that for a weekend's work, wouldn't you?
Yep. It would cost it basically if they can keep hold of the position they're in now in the constructors, that is worth 50 million. And I'm going to use David's words here. Whether you're a Max fan or not, Max's drive, yeah.
Yeah, my term was it was a masterclass, and it was. I mean, because it was funny because just after the red flag, when we got going again, there was one point where I think Ocon was actually pulling away.
He was.
And I was like, I was like, well, can Max catch him? And I was like, no, Max probably can catch him, but what's the point?
Yeah.
Max was waiting till he had 100% confidence in that car. So he was letting because if the Alpine won the race and he finished second, he was still scoring good points over Norris.
But he's still scoring at least 19 points.
Ocon isn't a championship threat, so let him go.
Yeah. And 17 fastest laps.
That's the bit that I say is the masterclass.
17 fastest laps.
That's the bit because once he got into his stride and he got comfortable with the car and the conditions, it was just lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, there was 17 in total.
Which, superb.
I was thinking to myself, wow, he's showing David up here.
What, you remind you of me and Alan?
Yeah. But he managed to pull 17 seconds out of the bag. That was a statement.
As I said to you, and I'll say it now, I think that has won Max's championship. Don't get me wrong, he was in the driver's seat, but it was slowly coming down. But what is he? He could now win it at Vegas.
He can now win it at Vegas.
But either way, it's going to take at least one DNF and Norris to have the perfect weekend. Are we a sprint again at Vegas, by the way?
No, Qatar is the next.
Qatar, I was going to say.
Yep, no.
In order for Lando to really start dragging that down, Max is going to need a run of bad luck that we haven't seen him have yet.
Yeah.
So I can't see. But yeah, that was a sign that whether you're a particular Max fan or not, them conditions, he was in a different league.
But to see I'm not complaining. That's why I do like wet weather, because to see the Alpine team up there.
Oh, part of me would like to have seen him win it just for the. But I tell you what, I said to him, what odds would you have got?
What for
on
Alpine?
2 Alpines on the podium.
Yeah, I know.
If you went into a bookies and wanted to put that bet down, what odds do you reckon you would have got?
I know. So Max is on 393. Lando is on 331.
So he's 60 something ahead.
He was 41 going into the weekend. I think he's now 61, 62.
With like a theoretical 85 left.
Yeah.
3 race wins, 3 fastest laps, and 1 sprint win.
But
So that's what I'm saying. It's not done. Don't, by all means.
It's not done. He can claim it if he has a good weekend at Vegas, but it's not over. The constructors, on the other hand, I don't know if Red Bull have got a chance of coming back on that.
They'd need Perez to step up.
Yep.
If they could get Perez to step up and have Perez and Max up scoring, then yes, there's a chance. But it's
but Perez is going to need to be finishing at least 4th.
They're going to need a couple of 1-2s.
Yeah, 4th and above at least. But yeah, Alpine, there is only 3 points. Alpine's on 49 and Haas is on 46.
Yeah.
Now, I forgot to mention Nico Hulkenberg getting disqualified.
Yeah, because the marshal pushed him. He stopped on.
Yeah. He stopped.
Which also mentioned because Sainz got in trouble, didn't he, for moving the car?
Did he?
Yeah, because he crashed. He took the steering wheel off, but then he put it back on and actually drove the car.
Ah, I didn't know about that.
Now, it's apparently sort of like rules of engagement. If you take the steering wheel off, that is a sign that you're done.
Yeah. Didn't know that. I didn't realise he'd done that.
Yeah, he just... Because he hit the wall, say the steering wheel, he took the steering wheel off, took it off the car, but then must have decided, the team must have said you might be able to drive it back to the pits. But...
Yeah, but like we said, the fact that obviously he got DSQ'd and it was captured, there was footage shown on the main feed.
But it's been a rule in F1 for years.
Oh, we know it has.
Outside the distance, you're done.
Yeah.
Because it was stupid because the car did end up stuck in the mud. So it looked like he just needed a little sort of bounce. And it would have gone again because he just sort of bobbled up the curb and lifted a back wheel, didn't he?
Yeah. So they lifted the car and then clearly he went again. So that's why he got disqualified. But there's definitely no love lost between Perez and Lawson.
Oh no, that came back again with a vengeance.
He struggled. Perez struggled. And he made a foolish mistake and locked up. If you can lock up in wet weather, but yeah. They can.
Oh, you can lock up in wet weather very, very, very
we know
easily.
that. I was being sarcastic. Because, yeah. But the funny thing is, you notice Lawson didn't put a fight when Max was coming past him. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I reckon a phone call went in from higher up.
It was a case of, look, the way Max got past Lawson was like, right, he didn't put up much of a fight, but when it come to fucking Perez, holy crap, was he not letting him past? And then that buggered him up. Perez ended up in the points and now lost a point. He lost a point to Mercedes, which, at the end of the day, yes, it was a point, but extra point in the constructors.
Oh, yeah. And those points can all make a little bit of difference by the end of the season.
And then obviously Yuki would, he had a good race, but he just didn't quite have the pace to.
No. Couldn't quite hold on towards the end.
No. But then obviously Russell, the pit stop screwed Russell, I think.
Yeah, it was just bad time. It was just bad timing, which sometimes it's a little bit of luck of the draw with those things, though.
Lando wasn't happy, clearly. But yeah, no, he was a really good race. I enjoyed it.
Oh, it's a race. Driver of the day, you got to go to Max. Really, you got to think for that.
The drive.
For that drive.
Yeah.
So Alpine gets special for that day because that was just incredible for them.
Oh yeah. But like I said, they played a blinder. Absolute blinder.
Which there was a lot of luck involved. A lot of it was.
Oh yeah. What they needed was a red flag or something like that, and they got it.
Yeah.
And it did them a huge favour. Also did Max the favour, but the Alpines could have, Ocon could have fought it out with Max. But would he? That's the thing. Would he have done?
Possibly not. Maybe it wouldn't have been. It probably wouldn't have been considered a good idea.
And obviously Oscar got his 10-second penalty for a collision.
Yeah.
Who did he hit?
Did he not run into the back of somebody?
Was it Lawson?
Yeah, because he complained on the radio, like, why is it a penalty? I didn't inconvenience the guy. Now, it's kind of similar to what the game does to us on occasion.
Was it Lawson or was it Carlo?
It was one of them. Basically,
I know
you
know what F1 should do. F1, they
publish a list of all these things.
Yeah, give us a race director list. That would be
just
good.
is causing a collision. He doesn't say who with, does
No. It was either.
Which is annoying.
I'm just wondering, was it Carlo Pinto or was it? I got the feeling it was Carlo Pinto. For some reason. Because, like you say, it didn't bother him. Didn't inconvenience him. So...
Yeah, but still classes. It's a bit like in real life. If you slam into the back of somebody.
Oh, but yeah, I get that. You don't just get a 10-second penalty. You have to, pay some money.
Yeah.
But it was a good race. It really was. Is there anything you want to add before we move to? Because don't forget we've got a double
fantasy. Nope, I think that's covered everything. Say Max got fastest lap again and again and again and again and again and again. And he got driver of the day, and it's just general. I say, if you've got people who aren't fans of F1 friends, just get them to watch that race. I think that's a race that will really show them what F1 can be.
Yeah.
We've had the races where it's been difficult to sort of justify being an F1 fan, and we've all had them. But that one was an absolute great one.
Yeah, it was. Shall we have a look at this then?
Yeah.
So we are going back to Mexico because we literally couldn't give you...
At the time, the website was...
Yeah, we couldn't give you the results. You didn't have too bad a one at Mexico, to be honest, because you were on top.
No, I didn't. Mine actually came out really well. Considering you've spent the last God knows how many races about how Ryan's hunting me down, I actually pulled a 46 points back off him.
Yeah. And obviously Ryan finished in second, but it was Albon that did him because of the race.
And RB.
Yeah.
It was Albon and both your teams that did you. And we don't talk about Alan.
Yeah, don't. But Alan had. I was going to say he had no negatives, but it was. That's funny because me and Alan have got both same bloody constructors. That means this weekend for me isn't going to be a stellar. Can't be.
Well, click across to your find out.
It can't be because Aston Martin screwed me. Not as bad as Alan then, by the looks of it. But
and I really wish I'd have thrown my 2 times back onto Matt's. He's been on Norris for a while, but I wish I'd have had the sort of throw it back onto Matt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Williams did me a shitter.
Are you surprised?
And that's the thing.
But we noticed the consistency. I got the exact same number of points I did in Mexico.
Yeah, you did.
Which is odd. But I've managed to get the exact same number of points twice running.
Well, it was the fact.
And I got even more. I was like 62 points clear of Ryan this time.
Yeah.
So if you go to overall, I've pulled like over 100 points clear again after it was slowly whittling down.
But it's weird because you had -2 on Bottas because of a sprint position lost and a race position. Obviously, Colapinto, well, yeah, he screwed a lot. He screwed all 3 of us, I think. Ryan had... Oh, that's what did you a favour. -42 for Hulkenberg. Because of his...
Disqualification.
Disqualification 25, but not classified in the sprint either.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurt him. And then obviously Albon. But yeah, I mean, Sainz had kind of a little bit of a downfall for me. But it was both obviously Williams and Aston Martin. I lost 5 because of race positions and 20 points.
So yeah, so all of a sudden I'm going back in the right direction again.
You are, but
there's time to go, yeah.
Oh, I've jumped Alan again. Not by much, but I've jumped him. Let's try and keep it that way, and I need to increase that one. Yeah, you are. You are like about 100 points, aren't you? So
I've pulled a bit more of a gap again, which is good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when it comes to
Vegas.
Bright
light city, baby.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. So obviously, going to give you the timings before we finish.
Oh, good idea.
In UK, do you want it UK time or do you want track time?
Well, I'll give it UK time. That's useful to me.
So, practice 1, 2:30 in the morning. Practice 2, 6 o'clock on the same day, on the 22nd of November. On the 23rd of November, practice 3 is at 2:30 in the morning. Qualifying on the 23rd is 6 a.m. The race on the 24th is 6 a.m. So for anybody who wants to go by track time, 21st November, it is 6:30 at night and 10 o'clock. 22nd of November for practice 3 is 6:30 and 10 again. And the race on the 23rd is at 10. That's so weird. because
I
the
know.
time difference, it's the race is the 23rd, but for us, it's the 24th.
I mean,
because it's
Monday morning.
No,
Oh, I get yeah.
they
So technically, it's Saturday night.
they get it Sunday night, Saturday night. Wow.
Before it's Sunday morning, or Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's a Saturday night for them. But for us, it's Sunday morning because of the time difference. Oh, crap, it's a Saturday race, though, isn't it, technically?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's...
Well, yeah, it makes sense. Because Vegas 6:30 at night, qualifying 10 o'clock at night is 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, that's your timings, both in track time and GMT. Obviously, if you're American, you go by track time. Because I know we do have a lot of American listeners, which is good. But it's a return to, as me and David affectionately nicknamed it, Spider Pig. And now I put that into your head, everybody.
That's all you'll ever see.
If you look at the circuit of Las Vegas, that's all you're going to see now. But it does.
Yeah.
It looks like Spider Pig. I'm looking forward to Vegas, but I reckon McLaren might be wanting to bounce back. But I'm hoping this is where I'm hoping Red Bull have got the pace, because it's a very high speed track.
You're wanting Red Bull to go, wanting Max to win the championship then? So that's your...
I'm technically wanting Max to wrap the championship up. Whether it will happen is another matter. I mean, we could be looking at the championship wrap up at Abu Dhabi if McLaren come back on form.
And every Hamilton fan twitches slightly as you say that.
Yep. But is there anything else you'd like to?
No, not really. I think we've covered it all. We've covered a good, what was it say? A good weekend. One of the best weekends.
Oh yeah.
In a long time.
Yes, yeah, it is. Definitely is. So, yeah, we're going to say thank you for listening. Obviously, you don't forget to come over to the gaming channel and go and take a look at the content over there. And obviously, thank you to David for joining me as usual.
It's a pleasure as always. Don't forget, we're on all the usual podcast places except Apple Podcast, as well as YouTube. This goes out every Wednesday when there's been a race.
At 3 p.m.
3 p.m. 3 p.m. UK time.
Yep. 3 p.m. GMT. And obviously we will see you on the 25th.
5th. The 25th.
And I'm hoping David will be nice and alert by that time.
I'm always alert. What are you on about?
Yeah, we shall see you for the next one. So until then,
Adios, amigos.
goodbye for now.